Saturday, July 7th, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 2018. Guys, in this video, we're going to take a look at the weather conditions around the globe, what we can expect the next 5-6 days this coming week. Some areas might see hurricanes, some may not. Others may see severe thunderstorms. Some might have some excellent weather. But first, we're going to start over in Japan, where extreme flooding has displaced literally millions of people. Lives have been lost. Just a terrible scenario. And here's some pictures from over in southwestern Japan, and you can see the flooding is just unbelievable. Landslides have washed away homes. I think I read over 4 million people have been affected by this flooding. Over 1 million displaced. Just an unbelievable scene. Got over 23 inches of rain in 24 hours between Friday and Saturday. And there's more to come. So we'll be keeping a close eye on the things that are occurring over in Japan as landslides and severe flash flooding are washing away homes, millions displaced. Don't like to see that, but we've been seeing a lot of that lately, especially in the last few months, where areas will get, and in some cases, a year's worth of rain, if not, a couple of months worth of rain, maybe in a day. Never seen anything quite like it. And one of those main drivers that creates those types of scenarios, like you've seen over in Japan, that's this lifted index. And you can see it's kind of moved offshore now. But let's just go over there, and we'll just use that as an example for right now. We're going to look at the rest of the world here in just a minute. But you can see the lifted index has been high over here. That's a main driver for severe weather, whether it be flash flooding, high winds, severe thunderstorms, tornadoes, hail. It could be a number of those things. And you can see right now there's a super typhoon that's headed in the direction of Asia, not towards Japan necessarily. It's supposed to make landfall now south of Shanghai. But that's 3 days out, and that could change. Right now it's a Category 4, expected to make landfall as a Category 3. But see this dark burgundy right here offshore of Japan? That's moved offshore now, but more than likely that's the culprit that created the heavy downpours, that created this intense flooding. And let's take a look at Monday. Doesn't look too bad, at least with regard to that. That's just one of the main motivators that can create severe weather. So Japan should start looking much better by next week. Hopefully they can get back to some sense of normalcy, even though it's going to take quite a long time after the amount of flooding that they've received. But the rain should subside in the next 48 hours, as long as this typhoon stays well south of Japan, and hopefully that will be the case. Let's take a look at the United States. We'll move up into England, over in through Europe, Australia, and look at some other areas as far as this lifted index goes, because when it's parked over these areas, there's always a good chance that severe weather is going to occur. And we've seen it in the upper Midwest pretty consistently over the past few weeks. And this is tomorrow. You're looking at 2 p.m., parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, a -12, -10. That's the value of the lifted index that only goes to -9. So when it's at those levels, severe weather is more than likely going to happen in some capacity. So that's tomorrow. On Sunday, let's step ahead to Monday. And you can see it kind of expands through the Midwest over into Tennessee. Nothing real extreme, -8, -5. Conditions are still favorable for thunderstorms and rain. A little stronger in the southern states, but not anything necessarily too severe. That's on Monday. Tuesday, different story. You're up into the -10s in the mid-Mississippi Valley, Louisiana, Arkansas, I think parts of southern Illinois, Tennessee, Louisiana, East Texas, especially over into Alabama. And that's a notorious place for severe thunderstorms, especially around Cullman. You're looking at this area here south of Clarksville, east of Memphis. Those are some tall lifted index numbers, so expect severe weather there by the middle part of next week. Moving on to Wednesday, We've got this offshore disturbance that should be moved out of the area by Wednesday, but right now that thing is very unpredictable. But look at Wednesday afternoon in southern Minnesota, northwestern Iowa. This place here has been a hot spot for severe weather, and the rivers are already swollen in this area, and this is going to create more flooding. This is on Wednesday afternoon. You're looking at the possibility for severe weather in any of these areas here. So more flooding potential in Iowa as those rivers are still at cresting stage. You're looking at severe weather through the deep south once again. And if we look at the GOES 16, we're going to come back to this here in just a minute and go look at some other places. This is the GOES 16. This is an infrared look at the storms that are currently moving across from east to west across the Gulf states of the United States. And this is the strange storm system that's parked offshore that's now a tropical depression. At one point, it was moving in a counterclockwise, or actually it was moving in a clockwise motion. And that's how storms rotate in the southern hemisphere. So kind of a weird collection of energy here that is very, very unpredictable. Some models showing it making landfall, others show it not. Some have it moving north, south, and back to the north. Very, very unpredictable storm system right here offshore, so expect anything from that. But right now you can see these storms moving across the south from east to west, which is highly unusual in itself. A lot of rain from Florida across Texas, clear into West Texas and parts of New Mexico, and we're even seeing some light showers out here in Arizona. And the chance of rain will continue throughout the week, even into Wednesday, and looks like Thursday more than likely in the deep south in those same areas. Let's go to Thursday real quick. Yeah, Mississippi, Alabama showing -10, -9 for the lifted index. And once again, these strong numbers are firmly parked over Iowa. So these rivers here are not going to get a chance to come down any, not with more rain in the forecast. Looks pretty good through Tennessee, Ohio, Indiana. That's on Thursday. We'll go up to Friday and take a peek. Not too bad by the time Friday rolls around. Some -9s, and again, this is just the lifted index, but there's that -10 again. Is that in Iowa once again? It sure is. Wow. It's in the southern part of Iowa. But still, these dark burgundies can generally produce severe weather. So be on the lookout if you're anywhere in those areas all of next week through Friday. The storm on the East Coast, don't know what to make of it. That thing there, guys, is a wild card. The hurricane that's currently down here moving towards the Lesser Antilles, don't expect too much out of that, as I think it's going to completely fall apart. In fact, it already looks like it's becoming more and more unorganized as it moves forward. It was probably the smallest hurricane I think I'd ever seen. And right now I don't think it's even predicted to do anything. There's the Cat 4 over in the far west Pacific headed towards Asia. That should make landfall in about 3 days, 4 days as a Cat 3. At least that's the model now. That could change. But you can see some of the spin-off from this storm could push some rain up into Japan that they certainly don't need right now. Looking at the storms over here in the U.S., this is the storm off the East Coast. It's just a tropical depression right now that doesn't know what it wants to do. So it could go north, it could go south, it could sit there for a day or two. Don't know. It's just a very unusual storm system. And this is the hurricane down in the Lesser Antilles area, or moving at least towards there in the Atlantic Basin. It's already down to a tropical storm. So lost its hurricane classification. In fact, they had it going up to a Cat 2 at one time. Doesn't look like it's going to do that. So shouldn't be a problem for Puerto Rico or the Lesser Antilles. They may see some thunder showers, and that will probably be about it. Going back to Adventure Sky, let's hop over to Great Britain, Ireland, see what things are looking like for the next week coming up. Right now, according to Adventure Sky, the lifted index at least is pretty good. I think temperatures have been kind of warm over there lately. Where we at? Ireland, the lifted index. Shouldn't see any thunderstorms all the way up through northern Europe. Central Europe, different story. Near, or actually in Italy, they should see some thunderstorms. Istanbul, this is on Sunday going into Monday. Same areas looking at the same thing. Chance of storms through Central Europe. Great Britain, actually looking pretty good. That's high pressure. Might be warm, but that's definitely high pressure. Central Europe, there's a strong system there in the far eastern part of Central Europe. Tuesday, the 10th, pretty much a carbon copy of Monday. Wednesday, carbon copy of Tuesday. Thursday, pretty much a carbon copy, maybe a little bigger, but not too bad. Nothing too severe even going up into Friday. Chance of storms are there in some areas, but nothing too out of hand. Let's go over to our friends in Australia. That there is some deep, that's in the Gulf of Aden, I think, so it shouldn't be a problem. Most of this stuff is offshore, across the equator. It's always there because there's high UV. Australia looking pretty good on Monday. Might see some high temperatures. Shouldn't see any rain. Tuesday looking good. Wednesday looking good. Thursday looking good, except for Sydney might see some action. Not much, but the potential's there. And Friday, still looking at some sort of a system offshore, kind of straddling the coast, onshore, offshore, Sydney by Thursday and Friday. New Zealand looking good pretty much the whole week. These storms, or at least the potential for these storms, are always in the tropics. That's where tropical storms come from. So, looking at the week ahead, chance of thunderstorms, pretty much like we saw this past week, same thing this week coming. Chance of thunderstorms pretty much anywhere east of the Mississippi and parts of west of the Mississippi in the Dakotas, parts of western Iowa especially, and watch those rivers as they have crested and they're at full capacity with more rain on the way. Unbelievable. So big heads up, guys. There were evacuations in Des Moines here a couple of days ago. Here's a look at the volcano. This is actually Fissure 8, not the volcano, on the big island of Hawaii. And you can see it's not letting up at all. The lava flow is still moving towards the ocean. That's Fissure 8. It's developing a cone every day. It gets a little bit bigger. I don't think it's a named mount yet of any kind. That's up to the people that live on the island, whether or not they want to give it a name or not. And they don't have to. But right now it's still spewing lava as it's flowing towards the ocean and creating dramatic ocean entries as I do this video. There's the small, what once was Hurricane Beryl. I think it's now a tropical storm. So it shouldn't be anything to worry about. Look for storms across the United States next week. Some could be strong in the same places that saw them last week. All right, guys, that's all I got for now, but I do have one last thing I want to finish on. The meteorite that they were looking for, the Nautilus was using the deep sea ROV, the remotely operated vehicle they call Hercules. They were searching off the coast of Washington for a meteor that went into the ocean, or fragments went into the ocean off the coast of Washington back in March. And what I think they may have been looking for, in fact, we were watching the rover this afternoon on a live stream, the Nautilus, on the Nautilus ship. They're saying that it was a rare meteorite. Rare meteorites, meteors come from Mars. They're considered rare. And the reason they're considered rare is because there are so few that have been found on Earth. And I've read where some meteorites from Mars are worth more than gold on Earth. And that's no joke. And here's one that they have found. They found this the other day using the deep sea Hercules, the ROV. They did find this one. In fact, they found two. I'm using this one as an example because it's got the same type of color format as Mars. So it could have been, and maybe that's why they were looking, a Martian meteor. And I'm just throwing a wild guess out there. I don't really know. But to go looking for a meteor in the ocean like that, it must have been pretty special. And one meteor from Mars, ones from Mars are exactly that. They're kind of rare. So maybe that's what they were looking for. I don't know. All right, guys, that's all I got for now. Watch the storm on the East Coast and watch for thunderstorms in the eastern part of the United States in the coming days. Thanks for watching. Have a super day and be safe out there.